dangerous. When I first saw this, I immediately thought about iRobot, which came out in 2004, which is funny because the director of iRobot recently accused Elon of copying his designs for his new Tesla products, and he tweeted this. Now, if you see a side-by-side, you can kind of see a resemblance. It's been said that Optimus would first be used internally at Tesla facilities.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. It's okay, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the video entirely, man, commenting down below, even if it's just to say hi, man. It really helps us in the algorithm, so I appreciate it. And most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on every single video I drop. You guys are helping us find new seekers. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, two men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Cicerio was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple of days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
Man, they really like getting real life superpowers, bro.
Top 3 urban legends that turned out to be true. Part 1. Number 3. The sewer crocodile. One of the most famous urban legends is about a crocodile living in the city sewers. While it may sound unbelievable, there have been several cases where crocodiles have been found in sewer systems. For example, in 2010, a young crocodile was discovered in the sewers of New York City, confirming the truth behind this urban legend. Number 2. Spiders and bananas. According to this urban legend, venomous spiders frequently hide in imported banana bunches. This story has proven to be true on multiple occasions. In 2005, a British family found a venomous spider, known as the Brazilian wandering spider, in a bunch of bananas they purchased from a supermarket. This case confirmed that there is some truth to this urban legend. Number 1. The killer. Hiding in the back seat. This urban legend tells the story of a psychopathic killer who hides in the back seat of a person's car and attacks when they are distracted. While it's difficult to find specific cases that exactly match this legend, there have been incidents where dangerous individuals have gained access to the backseat of cars and attacked their occupants. These events have confirmed the importance of being cautious and checking the inside of one's car.
So I found these conspiracy theories that are so believable, they actually might be true.
Talk about it.
Number 1. Studies show that cats understand human commands but don't care to follow them. Yeah, I don't like cats. I'm a dog kind of guy. Number 2. It is believed that when you die in a dream, you wake up because your brain doesn't know how to process the idea of what comes after death. Could be. I believe it. Number 3. Now this is scary. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you Googled Disney Frozen, you would get information about the movie and not the websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. I mean, I did see an article about this that was published in 1995. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I do believe it. This is where it gets freaky. Number 4. Mike Tyson's fight, time traveler. This fight was in 1995. If you look closely, you can see that could be a smartphone. In fact, it does look like a smartphone to me. There were no smartphones in 1995. This is how phones used to look like in 1995. They didn't have cameras. They barely had any color. But this thing double flashed exactly like how an iPhone or an Android would take a picture. I don't know about time travel, but this is very interesting. I'd really like to know what this thing was. What's the creepiest conspiracy theory that you heard of?
I think the one that got to me was probably like the time travel joint by Mike Tyson, because he showed us a graphic of those phones. They did not match up at all. I don't know if that could have been like a different version of prototype or something, man, or a different type of camera, but I think that one got to me the most, man. Time travel.
The 3 most dangerous places you should never set foot. Number 3, the Hoia Baciu Forest, located in Romania, is often dubbed the Haunted Forest due to the many paranormal stories reported there. Many visitors have described feelings of anxiety, a sense of being watched, and some even claim to have seen ghostly apparitions. In addition to the inexplicable phenomena, the forest features oddly shaped trees in areas where vegetation doesn't grow at all, heightening its mysterious ambience. Number 2. The Chernobyl zone in Ukraine is the site of the biggest nuclear disaster in history. In 1986, a reactor at the nuclear power plant exploded, releasing significant amounts of radioactive material into the environment. Today, while some parts of the region are open for strictly controlled tours, others remain highly contaminated by radiation and can pose a severe health hazard. It's crucial to adhere to safety guidelines and not stray off marked paths. Number 1. The Valley of the Kings in Egypt, located on the west bank of the Nile near Luxor, is famous for its royal tombs dating back to ancient Egypt. While it's a popular tourist destination, it comes with risks. Beyond natural dangers like extreme heat and the risk of dehydration, there have been speculations and legends about the pharaoh's curse, where those who disturb the pharaoh's tombs would be cursed.
This might ruin your
I ain't going there.
But in the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, there's a really dark joke in there that a lot of people missed. In this scene, you can see the presidents of Mount Rushmore getting pied in the face. But pay attention to Abraham Lincoln. Unlike the other presidents, he gets pied in the back of the head, which is exactly how he was assassinated in life.
Oh, what? I never even picked up on that, man. These movies, man, it has hidden messages. When you're a kid, you just don't get it.
What is going on here? This robot is literally serving drinks at a bar at an event recently hosted by Elon Musk.
There you go.
Our robot.
Everybody, get pictures. Get my good side. Optimus number 1. Robots are the future. How's it going, sir? What can I get you? You want a watermelon? Yeah. I can't convince you to get the robot? Yeah. Okay, I'll get you one. Just kidding.
No.
How's your night going so far? There you go. Ice cold beverage.
Now, this robot created by Elon, which he named Optimus, isn't only capable of serving drinks. Apparently, it can do a lot more. Apparently, Optimus can dance and interact with people, and it can do things around the house like cleaning, cooking, mowing the lawn, taking out the garbage, walking your dogs, and also babysitting. I'm sorry, but if this robot can actually do all these things, then I don't see how people wouldn't want one. Tesla's vision for Optimus is so that people can integrate this robot in their everyday lives so that it can do things that we don't want to do or things that are just repetitive or dangerous. When I first saw this, I immediately thought about iRobot, which came out in 2004, which is funny because the director of iRobot recently accused Elon of copying his designs for his new Tesla products, and he tweeted this. Now, if you see a side-by-side, you can kind of see a resemblance. It's been said that Optimus would first be used internally at Tesla facilities, and then it will expand its productions for other companies, and then eventually for the general public. So it's possible that you can have one of these in your house by 2027. Now, the price for one of these is around 20 to 30K, and Elon mentioned that he is aiming to make it more affordable so that more more people can buy it. But if Optimus can really cook, clean, and do my laundry, take my money, Elon. No, but seriously, would you guys actually drop this much money for this? Let me know.
I'll speak for me. No. No. Like, our robot was the blueprint. Didn't you not see what happened in that movie, man? The side-by-side comparisons, the designs, they too similar to me, bro. We seen how that game, they trying to rise up against us. No. I will not be getting that Tesla bot. No. I can't do that.
Conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. The children there were isolated from the others and placed in dark rooms. But apparently 4 of those children died on the same day, inspiring the Teletubbies. Lala apparently had facial disfigurement and was isolated for 5 years, and that inspired the Teletubby Lala. Toy was a deaf, facially disfigured kid who was tied to a fence outside and had gotten frostbitten from the cold. This inspired Tinky Winky. Donka, who was starved and was very, very sick, would lay in his own vomit for days, inspired Dipsy. And finally, Paulina, who had fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspired Pug. But you won't believe the reason they were called the Teletubbies. You see, the children's main source of entertainment in their rooms were their TVs. They were as small as a small iPad. Sometimes when they heard their toys was going to be confiscated, they would hide them in their mouths. And they had just found out that the institution was going to get rid of the TVs. And they didn't want that, and they couldn't hide the TVs in their mouths. So one of them had the great idea to hide them in their stomachs, because that's the only place they could fit. Mind you, these kids are a little bit not all the way there. So they came up with a plan to rip their insides out in order to fit the TVs inside and hide them. They tried it, and the next morning, the caregiver walked in on all 4 children dead.
These are facts about Halloween that I
Teletubbies,
bet
Dark
you didn't
Origins.
know. Up first, Halloween is extremely old. Halloween is thought to have originated in 4000 BC, which means Halloween has been around for more than 6,000 years. This is extremely crazy, and I never knew it was this old. Up next, jack-o'-lanterns are actually named after a stingy man named Jack, who, because he tricked the devil several times, he was forbidden access to heaven and hell. He was then condemned to wander Earth, waving his lantern to lead people away from their paths. Next up is a pretty crazy statistic. Americans alone will buy more than 600 million pounds of candy on Halloween. I don't even know why there is this much candy available to buy. And the crazy thing is, I guarantee all this candy gets eaten.
Man, I didn't know Halloween was that old, bro. 6,000 years? How old are the other holidays? Before? He's sitting up. Little Albert, what was going on? Fire. Man, bro. Kicking those 3 dots. Listen to some crazy visual that's going on right now. Whew. We're learning how here today, Seekers, man. These crazy facts. That's why I tune in with you guys, man. I'm always updating my knowledge base. Hopefully you guys are too, man. We learn out here together.
Forbidden to save someone who is drowning. If you like and follow me, you will receive great news today.
Okay. Let's edit, man. Call him out. I've been getting better at spotting him, man. And you guys are too. I see you down in the comments, man, helping me out. I appreciate you guys who do that.
The strangest places in the world, part 1. Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise. Next is the petrifying well in England, where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
This is the power of time. These are the footprints of the monk Hachi. He stood in his temple for so many years that the floorboards warped around his feet. He prays over 3,000 times a day and always stands in the same place. This bronze arm was attached to a tree when it was just a baby. It was attached in 1968 and the tree actually grew around it. And today the arm is permanently attached to the tree. And this is a corner of a bike store that's been around for over 50 years. Customers park there every day and it's been wearing down ever since.
Hell in Different Religions, Part 2.
Time is powerful.
Buddhism. In Buddhism, after you die, you can be reborn into one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. Which realm you'll be put into depends on your actions in your previous life. The lowest realm possible is the realm of Naraka, which is hell. Now, there are different Narakas you can be put into. It just depends on how bad you were in your previous life. Each of these Narakas having vastly different punishments, and the climates of the different Narakas can range from incredibly cold to boiling hot. But the time spent in Naraka is never eternal. Once you've served your punishment, you'll be reborn once again. But the time one does spend in Naraka can be hundreds of millions of years, or well beyond that.
That long down there? Hundreds of millions of years?
The Muffin Man is actually a serial killer. You know the Muffin Man nursery rhyme, right? But did you know it was based on a dark, true story? 1 second. Chocolate chip. Tastes like your mama boner. But yeah, the story is darker than you think. Because in the 1800s, there was a man named Frederick Thomas Linwood. And he would wait lurking in alleys, looking for his next victims. And they would always be kids. You see, he would kidnap them and unalive them, luring them in with muffins. I mean, what kid wouldn't want a tasty snack? When the townspeople got word of what was happening, they decided to come together and figure out a way to prevent this, to spread awareness amongst the kids and keep them safe, warning them about the Muffin Man, who was a danger on Drury Lane. You're walking past the alleyway, and the Muffin Man gets you. Your fourth act sees this and tries to rescue you. Let me know who it is, and let me know if you think you'd be doomed or not. Anyways, he's one of the first documented serial killers in the world. And everyone still teaches this song to their kids, even children TV shows. And yet nobody knows that
The Muffin Man, you know I know the Muffin Man because of Shaq. The Muffin Man? Then I found out that it really was a dark origins. The first documented, you know what, man? Oh, they put this stuff in our medias when we're kids and things, but like I said, we never notice it, man. Once you grow up, bro, you realize your childhood is very different.
You won't believe this little boy actually exists. This boy, 9-year-old Swede from China, was born with glowing eyes. People were curious why his eyes glow blue, so they ran a test on him. They put him in pitch black with cards and a note, and he read them perfectly. His eyes seem to have a genetic ability of cats and other nocturnal animals. Scientists have been a little skeptical, but people say he can see in full darkness perfectly, like a superhero.
Damn. You got night vision, bro.
In the year 2067, you'll have to pay for oxygen or suffocate to death. This movie is called 2067 and we have to talk about it. It's set in the future after climate change destroyed all plants on Earth. In Australia, only one city survived. And that's because of a company called Chronocorp Corporation, and they make artificial oxygen. But breathing in this artificial oxygen causes a strange sickness over time. Here's where the main character Ethan White comes in. He's a mechanic at the company, but one day everything changes. The leader of the company calls Ethan into their lab and revealed this giant machine. She says Ethan is the only person who can stop humanity from going extinct, and Ethan is is confused. Then we see Ethan has like a weird device on his wrist. And we find out 20 years ago his dad put that device on him for an experiment and never told him. Turns out this machine is actually pretty much a time machine. And it sent back a secret message from the future. When they decoded the message, they realized it said send Ethan White. Ethan obviously does not want to go, but his wife is sick from breathing in too much artificial oxygen, so he finally agrees, leaves her a note, and goes into the time machine to be sent to the year 2474. When he gets there, he realizes all the plants have been restored, but no humans are anywhere. Then he finds a locked door with a skeleton in front of it. As he looks closer, he realizes the skeleton is himself. It even has the same wrist device, except the light has turned green. So why did his dad actually put that device on him all those years ago? And why is he the chosen one to save humanity? There's a huge plot twist in the end, and I just thought this story was so interesting. So go watch it and let me know what you think. And follow for more movies and stories.
Should I check that out, man? That actually piqued my interest. I wonder what that plot twist is, man. Any of you seekers actually watched that movie 2067? I'm gonna have to check that out.
3 extremely disturbing facts you won't believe are actually true. Number 3. In a bizarre case, an Ohio man was mistakenly declared dead by the Social Security Administration in 1979. Upon discovering this error in 1994, he immediately initiated legal action to restore his status as a living person. However, a judge refused to overturn the decision, stating that there was a 3-year limit to challenge such a declaration.
What?
As a result, this man is legally living as a deceased person in his own country. Number 2. There's a disturbing practice at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. The chicks that hatch live in front of visitors in their chick hatching exhibit are then sent to the Brookfield Zoo, where they are fed to predator animals. This is a shocking truth hidden behind a seemingly innocent exhibit. Number 1. Disneyland and Disney World are iconic places, often associated with joyful family memories. However, there's a strange phenomenon that occurs in these parks. People so frequently scatter the ashes of their loved ones there that Disney had to establish a special procedure to deal with it. A dedicated team is ready to intervene as soon as an ash scattering is reported, cleaning up the area to maintain the park's joyful atmosphere.
Here's some facts that'll
insane.
make you smarter. Part 1. Bananas are not actually fruits, they're herbs. And this is because the stem of the banana is succulent and not wood. Scientists say that it's less likely to rain on a Monday than any other day of the week. Reason is that Mondays carry less pollution over the weekend. If you drop a piece of toast, it'll almost always land butter side down. Try this one out and let me know. And finally, the hardest language for an English speaker to learn is Japanese, Chinese, Arabic, or Korean.
Oh, really?
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. BT.3. If you're wearing earplugs listening to music, and you hear someone calling you or the door knocking, there is no one calling. It's the ghost informing you of their presence. The inventors of the Ouija board claim it got its name when they asked it what it should be called. They also asked it what Ouija meant, and it replied, "Good luck." If you're walking and you feel someone behind you, it's a ghost looking at you. The human body can feel the presence of ghosts.
I think I felt something like that before, man. When somebody's staring at you,
Proof that mermaid.
but you can't identify what it is. I feel like a chill down my spine. Is this cap a fact, man? They put a GoPro on a shark. But that is true, man. Like how, isn't it scary how they said like 80% of our ocean is like undiscovered, or we haven't even like reached the full potential of it yet. So there's things down there that we don't even have no idea what it is. If you think about it, man. Something to think on. We hear that? I'm hitting the jets. I'm out.
Today I learned that if your parent calls you by your sibling's name, it's not because they're playing favorites, but rather it's a cognitive glitch. This misnaming phenomenon is due to our mental semantic network categorizing people into different social groups or relationship bonds, according to a 2016 study published in the Memory and Cognition Journal by Samantha Deffler. When I say spoon, you might think of a fork. Similarly, when a mom mom calls for her daughter, the concept of her daughter is also linked to her son. So she may accidentally call her daughter by her son's name. It was also found that some family members accidentally call each other by their family's dog's name. Defler also recalls one young man accidentally calling his girlfriend by his sister's name, to which the girlfriend responded, "That's probably a bad sign." Misnaming also occur phonetically when initial or internal sounds sound the same, like John, Johnny, or Bob, but physical appearance and gender was proven to not be a factor. So next time someone calls you by a different name, don't take it personally, but it does give you a clue that your name belongs to a certain relationship pond in that person's mind. Alright, that's all. This is Shanksta, over and out.
This
Interesting
shows
facts.
different sizes of animal eggs. We're starting off with really tiny eggs.
Okay.
So obviously, these ones are no bigger than a Tic Tac. But don't worry, guys. We're gonna get much, much bigger.
Wow, okay.
Platypus, I didn't know platypus had really tiny eggs.
Damn.
Sea turtles, yes, okay.
American Robins,
Quail eggs. Now, have you guys tried quail eggs? I definitely have, and they're very, very tasty. Chicken eggs, the average, that's the standard.
That's
for
the
eggs,
biggest
right?
one.
Crocodile eggs, they look like Tic Tacs, honestly.
Kiwi,
eggs,
damn.
how do they even come out of that? Of the kiwi
A
bird?
flamingo, I'm guessing.
Dragon eggs, I didn't know they existed. Okay, I thought it was a mammoth and mammoth could lay eggs, but obviously it don't. It was a mammoth bird.
Xenomorph, what the
So we're getting in territories where these animals don't exist, and Godzilla egg is taller than a human.
What the hell?
Personas que ganaron superpoderes después de trágicos accidentes. Parte 2. Natasha Denkina, una mujer rusa nacida en el año 1987. A los 10 años tuvo que ser operada de apendicitis y eso cambió completamente su vida. Después de la operación, Natalia afirmaba que tenía visión de rayos X. Como nadie la creía, unos médicos la llevaron a un hospital de niños para ver si sus poderes eran reales. Para sorpresa de todos, diagnosticó correctamente a todos los niños. Su visión de rayos X era real. Ahora se dedica a ayudar a las personas y a los médicos a encontrar enfermedades. Cuando Ben Underwood nació, parecía un chico completamente sano, pero a los 3 años, por culpa de una enfermedad, le tuvieron que extirpar los 2 ojos. Pero a partir de ese suceso desarrolló la ecolocalización. Ben podía ver a la perfección con sus oídos y podía hacer cualquier tipo de cosa como una persona sin problemas de visión.
I know those are all people with, I guess, new.
Bring facts that will ruin your life. Baby chicks, while very sweet, are often grinded up. In many large factories, if they're baby roosters, they're just tossed into a grinder. Pretty gross. Did you know that in the United States alone, every year, around 2,500 people die from using right-handed equipment that were originally left-handed? Sucks to be left-handed. George Bush Sr. was the only man to survive after his plane was shot down in World War II by Japanese soldiers. Out of the 9 men that were cannibalized and eaten on by Japanese soldiers, Bush was somehow the only one to survive. Hopefully you like burgers because Inuit mothers actually suck the snot out of their baby's nose. Nasty. Did you know there's actually 200 corpses right now on Mount Everest? Due to the body's elevation, they're actually left up there and perfectly preserved to the extreme climate and temperatures. They're used as guide points for climbers and hikers. Comment and let me know which fact disturbed you the most.
Basically it's a graveyard, man. That's
This
the
is
best way to
without a
put
doubt
it.
the creepiest mugshot I've ever seen. This is 33-year-old Solomon Galligan. He is an S offender that tried to kidnap a little boy from an elementary school in Colorado. This entire ordeal happened last Friday, and he went up to multiple children. Before police arrived, he tried to grab the young boy and flee, but that was unsuccessful, so he just fled to begin with. He was later caught by police and charged with 1 count of kidnapping. As a result, the elementary school and the surrounding areas are increasing security and police presence. But bro, this mugshot is definitely the creepiest shit I've ever seen. There's not a single feeling of remorse or regret in those eyes. He's now being held on a $25,000 bond. He had a similar incident in 2012 and he failed to register as an offender. Now, luckily, the little boy that he tried to kidnap was unharmed. And this also happened while the kids were at recess. I'm not sure how this happened. I feel like when I was growing up in recess, all of the teachers would be watching us.
Yeah.
They definitely need to step up security. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Movie bloopers that are better than the actual movie. In The Dark Knight, while Joker sits in a jail cell, he overhears Detective Gordon get promoted to commissioner. Naturally, the rest of his squad applauds him, but then they hear the Joker clapping in the background. The Joker's creepy clap wasn't in the script, but it fit the scene so well they kept it in. In the show Friends, Matthew Perry actually hits his head on a filing cabinet.
Please, just...
Well, this was a total accident, and Jennifer Aniston's reaction was completely genuine. In this scene in Spider-Man Homecoming, Tony Stark leans over to open the door, but Peter Parker hugs him instead. This wasn't in the script, but Tom Holland thought it would be funny, which led to Robert Downey Jr. improvising this line on the spot.
That's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you. We're not.
Classic.
In How the Grinch Stole Christmas, in this scene, everything was supposed to fall off when Jim Carrey pulled the tablecloth. But it didn't go as planned, so he had to improvise. This wasn't in the script, but it was so funny they kept it in.
Records that will never be broken again. Number 1, the woman with the most children. Back in the 1800s, a Russian woman named Vasiliev gave birth to 69 total children. She had 16 pairs of twins, 7 triplets, and 4 quadruplets. And no one has come close to matching that number since. Number 2, the most nuclear explosions ever survived. This is Tsutomu Namaguchi. He has survived 2 different nuclear explosions. Tsutomu was on a business trip when the first nuclear bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. After miraculously surviving that explosion, he returned to his hometown of Nagasaki just in time to witness the second atomic bombing. But again, he miraculously survived and lived till the age of 93.
That's rough.
Facts that will probably keep you up at night. One of your photos that you have today will be used in your funeral. There are more slaves today than any other time in history. According to the founder of the Walk Free Foundation, there are 46 million slaves in the world today. Your eyes can still move after your death for 15 to 30 seconds. Watching TV for more than 2 hours a day can shorten your life expectancy by 1.4 years. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, no one knows where that signal came from. A lit candle causes more than 15,000 house fires every year. Spider rain could happen at any moment above you. Bill Skarsgård, who played Pennywise in the 2017 version of It, was born in 1990, the year the original It was released. Yeah.
Those are some creepy coincidences, man. Spider rain? I've never heard of something like that before, but I definitely don't want to experience that, man. Imagine you just walking outside, normal day, just see a whole bunch of freaking spiders coming down. You like, what in the world is this world coming to, man? How does something like that even happen?
If you see him while you're awake, run. So this story actually comes from a Reddit user who's a therapist. And this user had a patient who was coming in complaining of seeing Hatman at night. This patient would apparently wake up in the middle of the night to see Hatman standing at the foot of their bed, watching them sleep. And as a result, they were not really sleeping much. So the therapist prescribed some pretty heavy sleeping medication, and as a result, the patient starts getting a little better. But then one day, the patient comes in and just looks like they had seen a ghost. So the therapist asked them what was wrong, and they said that as they were getting in the car to come to therapy, they saw Hatman standing across the street during the day. This therapist had only ever heard of Hatman when it came to patients waking up in the middle of the night and seeing him, never when they were already awake doing things in the middle of the day. So the patient is terrified, but the therapist thinks this might be a side effect of the medication. It takes a little while to get used to. But that was the last time the patient ever came to see the therapist.
Damn, man, is he real? Cap.
Scary facts that will blow your mind, part 2. The
Hoia Baciu Forest is considered the most haunted forest in all of Romania. Hundreds of people have gone missing within these woods, among other things like screams, laughter, babies crying, people being attacked by unseen paranormal forces, strange balls of light, UFOs, and in the very center of the forest lies a clearing where no plant life will grow. It is believed that this spot is a portal to another dimension. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
Okay, that one, the most haunted freaking forest of Romania, man, where all those plants not growing and how they said it can be ported there. I definitely want to check up on that one because that sounds interesting, man. Like, no plants are going in that whole open area. That space is just like a freaking, looked like a crop circle. What do you guys think? Is that a dimension to another
incident has
reality?
made people on the internet so upset because this woman went up to a teen and pulled down her skirt because she thought it was too short. Even if you think this skirt is too short, I think we can all agree that you cannot go up to a child and touch them. The teen said that this woman approached her from behind and basically put her hand in her area. This woman, who is a 49-year-old Ida Lorenzo, said to the girl and her friends, "I happen to work for the state, and if I have to see your cheeks hanging out again, I will call CPS."
I happen to work for the state, and if I have to watch your cheeks hanging out again, I will call CPS.
Now, let's be real for a second. If this was a man who did this to a young girl, police would be called immediately and there would be no excuses. They were waiting at a restaurant to be seated and she basically felt like it was inappropriate for this young girl to be dressed like this in front of everyone. Which, if you feel that way, then you can leave. You should never be putting your hands on anyone. She was eventually charged with sexual battery, which I'm glad because you can't be putting your hands on anyone, especially kids.
She said it perfectly. The words needed on that clip. Everything to a T.
Here are 5 regular things that are illegal in North Korea. Number 1, wearing jeans. In North Korea, wearing jeans is a symbol of their enemy America. Number 2, turning off the radio. All houses come with a government-installed radio that makes announcements through the day. Number 3, practicing religion. Reading a Bible can get you publicly executed. Number 4, watching foreign films. Watching foreign films can get you executed or sent to a labor camp. And number 5, listening to foreign music. All music has to be Kim Jong-un approved.
As you were taught that you probably
Never
still
going to
believe.
North Korea.
Number 1, that cracking your knuckles will cause arthritis. While cracking your knuckles might sound and look damaging, it does not cause arthritis. That loud pop that you hear when you crack your knuckles is caused by bubbles bursting in your synovial fluid, and the bubbles pop when you pull the bones apart. Blood in your veins is blue. If you look down at your arm, you can probably see your veins and see they look blue. However, your blood is not actually blue in your veins. Blood is either red or dark red, but never blue. Your veins look blue because of your skin. Blue light does not penetrate human tissue as deeply as red light does, and as a result, veins that are close to the surface of the skin will be more likely to reflect blue light back to your eyes. You can hear the sound of the ocean in shells. This is a myth. The sound you hear when you put a shell against your ear has nothing to do with it being from the ocean. It's actually part of the background noise around you, just turned up a little bit by the shell. So if you're next to the ocean, the shell picks up the sound of the ocean, the alpha wolf. There's actually no such thing as an alpha wolf. This idea was brought about in a paper from the 1970s, but the author later said in a paper that he rejected the idea of an alpha wolf. While it's true that multiple wolves who share a small space in captivity will develop alpha and beta-like hierarchies, wild wolves behave nothing like this. In the wild, a wolf pack is typically formed by monogamous parents and their puppies, and the wolf pack is basically a tightly knit family consisting of parents or breeders and their offspring, not an alpha and beta.
We need to talk about...
Hey man, those facts, those will blow my freaking reality wide open, man. I've always when you used to put a shell up to your ear, they always used to say that like you were here in the ocean. That's another piece about your hood. Gone. And I remember seeing freaking blue veins, yeah. I remember when I was a kid sometimes I'd see blue. I'm like, is our blood blue? I said, how come when we bleed it's never blue? So I learned that very early on, man, but we learning out here today. I like
child
that.
sex tourism. So if you don't understand what this is the practice of elderly men and women from America or other countries traveling to more undeveloped countries where the ages of consent are much lower, and then purchasing children to do things with. These are just some of the men who have been caught on camera doing these things. And this opens up a disturbing thought. I mean, you think you know somebody, but what are they doing in these foreign countries? Because laws were passed in the 2000s that outlawed this practice, meaning that if you committed an act with a child in a foreign country, the United States government can still prosecute you. But there was a great documentary made by Chris Hansen where they followed a wealthy American doctor over, I think it was in the Philippines, one of those countries, and caught him in the act of purchasing a child. And then they followed him back to the United States where he had a full family, he ran a successful practice, and he was then turned over to the authorities. But all you have to do is look at this and the low ages of consent in so many different countries. And just recently, a North Dakota lawmaker was caught doing this in the Czech Republic. So how many children have to be hurt before more action is taken against this whole thing? Every single year, the statistics show that over 1 million children are abused as a part of this system. 1 million children. Imagine a group of 1 million children. All of their lives completely changed forever. Every single year. Every year. And these sick bastards get away with it time and time again. Now, I don't know what I can necessarily do to stop this from happening, but I can inform people and try to get these videos out, because this is incredibly disturbing stuff. And I'm going to talk more about this guy in my next TikTok.
Curtain number 1.
Trying to find a loophole. Disgusting.
Wait. You don't remember what she looks like.
How rare is your body? Let's find out. About 75% of people have a deviated septum, and this is a condition in which the bone and cartilage that divide the nose in half are crooked, making one nasal passage smaller than the other, and it's known to cause nosebleeds, problems breathing, or loud breathing when you're sleeping. Less than 1% of people have an extra finger crease, and it's also called camptodactyly, and it's just when you have an extra little ridge on your fingers, and it is most common on your pinky.
Ooh.
Less than 1% of people have an eyeball scar. This is also called a macular pucker, and it's just scar tissue that forms in your eye. And it's known to cause blurred or distorted vision. And it's caused when the vitreous, which is the gel-like part of your eye, starts to pull away from the retina. Less than 1% of people can hear colors or see sounds. For example, this could happen as soon as someone hears a sound, they automatically see the color red, or as soon as they read a word, a certain color pops into their mind. About 33% of people experience motion sickness, and this 33% are highly susceptible to motion sickness, while the rest just experience it in extreme conditions. And it's caused when your brain starts to get signals from your body that it's moving, but they're mismatched and don't match up.
Here's some Disney Channel stars that went to...
Do I have any of those? Or is any of the Seeker's body is weird, man? Does they have that extra, we said, I guess cartilage on your pinky or eyeball scars? I didn't even know an eyeball could get a scar.
to jail, but each time the crime gets worse. Starting off, Mitchell Musso, who played Oliver Oken in Hannah Montana, was pulled over in 2011 for driving under the influence. He was only 20 at the time and was arrested and released on bail. Because of this, his character was written out of Parrot Kings and his show Prank Stars was canceled. Next up, Adam Hicks, who played Luther on Zeke and Luther and had a starring role in Lemonade Mouth, was arrested a couple times, but most recently for an armed robbery with his girlfriend. His sentencing was delayed multiple times due to mental health evaluations and was eventually given a 5-year sentence. But he's now currently on parole and making music on TikTok. Moving on, Lindsay Lohan was Disney's golden child in the early 2000s, starring in iconic movies such as The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, and Mean Girls, before getting into trouble with the law. She's been arrested for driving under the influence, drug possession, violating her probation, a theft charge, and has even had a bench warrant out for her arrest. And finally, Phil Lewis, who played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, was arrested and charged for vehicle manslaughter after killing a 21-year-old girl while drunk driving. When they tested his blood alcohol, it was 3 times the legal limit. He was originally given a 5-year sentence, 2 years of probation, and 350 hours of community service, but ended up only serving 1 year due to his work with prison-based theater groups that performed in jails, churches, and schools to highlight the consequences of drug abuse.
After breaking up in the 50s,
Childhood.
these two high school sweethearts are now newlyweds at 82 and 85. Eddie and Caroline dated for years in high school, and they spent so much time together that Caroline was known as Eddie's girl around their Nashville town. And when Eddie graduated a few years before Caroline, she had hoped for his class ring as a sign of commitment, but Eddie wasn't ready, and he was about to leave their hometown for the ROTC program at the University of Tennessee. When he dropped her off at her house one evening in 1959 without giving her a class ring and with no mention of the future, Caroline knew that their relationship was over. She says that she recalls running into her house and crying for that entire night, and then the two went on to live completely separate lives, including Caroline winning Miss Nashville the same year that Eddie left. In 1961, they both married other people and shortly thereafter had children and raised families. Eddie spent 21 years as a pilot in the Air Force, and Caroline became an interior designer and an author. But in 2001, Caroline lost her husband, and in 2021, Eddie lost his wife. A year later, in 2022, Eddie felt compelled to reach out to Caroline, and he says he called 9 times before she answered, but when she did, the spark was still there. With 6 decades of catching up to do, they met back up in Nashville, and just 3 months later, Eddie asked her to marry him. He wanted to get her a traditional engagement ring, but she said that all she wanted was his high school class ring, just like all those years ago. Now, as newlyweds in their 80s, they say that they feel just like kids again. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
It's true love. Really, works through. They found each other, man, after all that time. Can you even imagine that, living separate lives? You come back and marry your first love. That's a great story. We need something positive every day.
Mason TV was able to trick Spotify into sending him Harry Styles' 1 billion streams plaque, so he decided to put it to good use. He created a TikTok account with the username SecretSue94, later changed to Sue Manella, playing on Harry Styles' nickname Sue, known within his fandom. He created multiple vines Harry made in 2013, adding subtle clues like a drawn-on cross tattoo to make it seem more authentic, and even getting pink carpet for his stairs to match Harry's stairs. He developed a multiverse of fake TikTok accounts for Harry's friends to lend credibility to the main account. He went to great lengths, including dressing up as Harry, painting his nails, and having fake paparazzi photos taken to show Harry with a Spotify plaque and using TikTok on his phone, which helped him spread the belief in the account. Overnight, fans all over social media and even major media outlets were speculating about its authenticity. Millions of people talking about the account led it to going viral and amassing over 600,000 followers.
This man left his 2-year-old toddler in a hot car while he went to go play video games. Not only is this case super disturbing because of what he was doing while his 2-year-old daughter was strapped in this hot boiling car, but apparently he's done this so many times before. All happened on July 9th when 37-year-old Christopher Schultz arrived home at 12:50 and his daughter was strapped into her car seat and she was sleeping, so he decided to leave her in there because he did not want to wake her up, and he had left the AC on as well. Christopher's wife Erica arrived home at 4 p.m. from work and she found their 2-year-old daughter still strapped in the car. At this point, this poor little girl was already gone, and when paramedics arrived, there was nothing they could really do. Now, while Christopher claims that the AC was on, it turns out that it actually turned off only 30 minutes after he left to go inside. This means that she was left in this 180-degree boiling car for about 2.5 hours. At first, Christopher lied and said that he had left her in there for about 30 to 45 minutes and had checked up on her multiple times, but after they investigated and saw home surveillance footage of a neighbor, they noticed that she was actually in there for about 3 hours.
How long was she sleeping in the car out there? I want to say it was no more than 30-45 minutes. And I don't think the air was off that entire time. I think there was a time in between. I checked on her last. It was still running. She was still sleeping. And then when I went back out, the car was off.
Like I said, he's done this so many times before, according to his other daughters. And his wife also sent him a text message saying, "I told you to stop leaving them in the car. How many times have I told you?" But what I also found so weird is that his wife also sided with him, and she got really upset when police arrested Christopher. I don't understand how she has any type of sympathy for this man who just took your baby's life because he was playing video games. He was warned multiple times about this, so there is no excuse. Christopher was originally charged with second-degree but then it was changed to first-degree, and he pleaded not guilty. If he gets convicted, he does face life in prison.
This pedophile senator
for some
from
video
North Dakota
games.
is one of the most disturbed people I've ever researched. This is all coming out right now in the news, so let's talk about it. Ray Holberg was born in 1944, and he was first elected to the North Dakota Senate as a Republican in 1976. He ended up serving as a senator for decades, and he became one of the longest-serving senators in United States history. But behind the scenes, Ray was carrying out the most demonic activities you can imagine. The first allegations against him came out in 2020, when a man named Canton Todd came out and said that Ray had sexually assaulted him in 2010. You can read some of his tweet there. Canton provided evidence of where he was assaulted, and investigators were actually able to show that that apartment was indeed owned by the senator. And they were also able to confirm that the senator was seen with that guy around the same time. But nothing ever came out of this. Then in 2022, a huge scandal erupted. It turns out Ray Holberg had shared 72 text messages with a child predator inside of prison. So this guy was sentenced for CP production and distribution, and while he was in prison, Ray Holberg texted him 72 times. Now obviously people were asking, what were these texts about? Well, some of the texts that were eventually recovered showed Holberg asking this convicted predator if he could meet up with his 19 to 20-year-old boyfriend to give him a massage. Holberg has claimed in the news that these text messages were just about some lawn care, that this pedophile just happened to be redoing his lawn and that's what he was texting him about. And when he was pressed by members of the press, he stated the messages were just simply gone. I don't understand this. In most cases, the police can immediately go back and retrieve any text messages from criminals, so why haven't they done this yet with this guy? But this only gets significantly worse. Just 2 days ago, Ray Holberg pled guilty to child sex tourism. If you're confused on what that means, this means that Ray, while he was a United States Senator, was traveling overseas to engage in acts with minors. Prosecutors in the case alleged that he traveled 14 times to Prague in the Czech Republic between the years 2011 and 2021 to pay to engage in acts with minors. And even more disturbingly, a number of these trips were state trips. So that means that the United States government was paying for him to go over to the Czech Republic. And he was there on an official capacity. So he definitely did this, and when this all came out, it brought up the history of CP charges that were also leveled at him in the past. That's right, they also discovered that between 2012 and 2013, Ray, who was a United States Senator at the time, was using the alias Sean Evans online to, quote, convince a child to send him sexually explicit images. AKA, this freak was pretending to be a child online to receive CP from a child. So with all of this, the sexual assault, the traveling to a country to engage in acts with minors, the CP, all of that, you would imagine this guy would go away for a long time, right? These are serious, terrible charges. Well, no. Because he pled guilty, he's going to get a sweetheart deal. That means that the Department of Justice dropped the CP charges against him, and the judge is believed to, quote, recommend the low end of the sentencing guideline range. His lawyers have said they expect him to get 3 to 4 years in prison. So for molesting multiple young boys, for convincing a child to send him graphic material, for sexually assaulting a man, for being in contact with a child predator who probably sent him other stuff that got deleted, this guy is going to get 3 to 4 years in prison. Gotta love American justice, right? If you want to join me on my journey to expose pedophiles and creeps like this, listen to my new podcast, The Conspiracy Files. You can either watch it on YouTube or you can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in a few weeks, we're going to be doing an episode about pedophile members of Congress and the Senate, and it's really, really disturbing stuff. This guy's definitely going in there.
We're always told to drink a lot of water throughout the day, but have you ever wondered what happens when you drink too much water? Well, 35-year-old Ashley Summers drank 64 ounces of water in a span of 20 minutes and passed away from water toxicity. Ashley, her husband, and 2 daughters were at Lake Freeman in Indiana when she began feeling dehydrated. So she drank 4 bottles of water because for some reason she wasn't able to quench her thirst. Ashley complained about having a horrible headache and she began to feel lightheaded. When she got home with her family, she passed out in the garage and she was taken to the hospital where the doctor said she had brain swelling. Ashley never woke up and she was pronounced dead from water toxicity. A toxicologist said that this is more likely to happen to someone who's extremely dehydrated, which will cause them to drink too much water and not enough sodium or electrolytes. So remember, bring more than just water on really hot days, especially if you're under the sun for a long period of time. This day...
That's actually insane, man. Someone passed away from drinking too much water. Like she said, when we were growing up, it was also, drink water, be hydrated. Man, the more you know, Seekers.
Her owner shot her husband twice after she found this out. Shanter Williams and her husband James owned this daycare called Kids Castle. On July 2022, a woman whose child was attending Kids Castle approached Shanter and told her that her daughter was being molested by James. Shanter lost it, and in that moment, she made her way to a hotel in Washington, D.C. where James was staying at and shot him in the neck and thigh. Shanter admits that her intentions were to paralyze James because she was just so angry. Keep in mind, Shanter loved kids and her job, and she wanted this daycare to be something where kids felt like they were safe. And she said after seeing the pain in this mother's face, she snapped. James had contact with 93 children, and most of them rode on the daycare bus with him, which is where most of the abuse happened. And this story only gets more disturbing. And James was also a retired Baltimore police officer. But ultimately, Shanter was sentenced to 4 years in prison, and the judge said that she should have never taken the law into her own hands. James, on the other hand, faces 30 counts of child sexual abuse and assault charges.
There has been a horrifying discovery in Florida. Police have recovered 3 suitcases from the Delray Beach containing remains of a mystery woman. On July the 21st, police received a call about something suspicious in the water. When police got to the scene, they found human remains in the first suitcase and shortly after found 2 other cases. A homicide investigation is underway and police have revealed this image of what they believe the victim to have looked like. The image also roughly shows what her clothing may have looked like as well. They believe that the victim was killed between a period between the 17th and the 20th of July. She's believed to have been between 35 and 50 years of age. Based upon what they have found, they believe that she was about 5'4" in height. Investigators are appealing to members of the public for any help in identifying the victim. They're also asking anyone who lives in that general area to check their security cameras for anything that might be useful towards the case.
Lonnie
Careful we were.
as the Grim Sleeper, responsible for killing between 10 and 25 plus people. Got the name the Grim Sleeper is because apparently he went on a 14-year hiatus, for which he eventually started killing again, which led to him being caught. Deborah Jackson was a mother of 3 in which she was shot 3 times by a .25 caliber gun. He would only kill women, so much of the women that he would kill, he would shoot with this certain gun, which he would shoot them in the chest and he would dump their body. The pattern continued and continued as more women were being shot in the chest and dumped in the alley. Investigators weren't really linking the cases until they realized that the odds that the person is shooting somebody in the chest with the exact same gun. They worked on various leads, looked for various people. For the most part, it seemed like they were just going from dead end to dead end. Eventually, in '87, they got an anonymous 911 call in which a witness claims that they saw a woman's body being tossed into an alley. He shared a license plate of the van and what the person looked like. At the scene, investigators discovered a woman later identified as a 32-year-old Barbara, in which she was fatally shot in the chest with a .25 caliber gun. So they have the license plate, so you think, okay, maybe they caught the killer. So the detectives traced the license plate to a van that is at a church, where the keys to the vehicle are very easily accessible to almost anyone.
Damn. They say he went like 14 years between that, man. He never got caught. Well, no, they said they caught him up in the end, but it took 14 years, man. Goes to show you, man. Justice, karma, it'll come to you, man. may take a couple months, days, months, or years, but it's that energy gonna revert right back to you.
For nothing.
The most disgusting case. Nostalgic Ike. He went to one of the restaurants to buy food and coffee. When he opened the coffee, he found cockroaches' legs.
Hell
he
no.
also returned his coffee to employees, and he got new coffee. But after the coffee was purchased, more cockroaches' feet were in the coffee.
What the fuck?
Bonus photo.
I'm always checking now, bro. Always open that lid up, Seekers. We don't know what's in there. Some crazy info we learning.
Here's the second part of the body cam footage of Chad Dorman, the monster, the so-called father, who unalived his 3 sons in a way that I cannot even describe on here. But before I show you the video, the cop and the way he reacts in this video and how he talks to the suspect is 100% how I would talk to him.
Can we get the wallet out of my back pocket? Shut up, dude. Yeah, the rest remain solid. Fucking Jesus.
There's a wallet for what? It's in his pocket.
Horror movies with the biggest plot twist that you won't see coming. The movie we're talking about today has one of the most unique and insane stories I've ever seen.
Talk about
is
it.
a French horror movie about a nurse taking care of an old woman who used to be a famous ballet teacher. The old woman is in a coma, but she's very rich and lives in a mansion. There's also a mysterious key that's always around her neck. So the nurse, her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's brother decide to rob her, as it's rumored there's some kind of treasure hidden in her mansion. And they assume the key around her neck opens the door to the treasure. But when they open that door, they find something else. I'm gonna tell you what they found behind the door, so if you don't want to hear it, just click away now. They found the old woman's dead daughter, whose corpse has been turned into a human ballerina statue. Just like one of those ballerinas dancing in a music box. But don't worry, because there's another twist. You'll also never guess how it ends. I thought it was weird and entertaining and just interesting to watch. So check out Livid and follow for more.
Earlier this week,
Any of you seekers watch that?
California opened up a barrel that was on the beach only to find a body inside, and now a homicide investigation is underway. This past Sunday, a maintenance worker at the Malibu Lagoon State Beach saw a black plastic barrel floating in the lagoon and brought it in with a kayak. He didn't open it at the time, but the next morning, a lifeguard on duty spotted the same barrel back out in the lagoon. He swam out and brought it back into the beach, and when he noticed how heavy it was, he opened it to see what was inside. And that's when he found a man's body. The origin of the barrel is unclear, but it's possible that it was brought in with the tide from the ocean. The man's identity has still yet to be remained as well, and homicide detectives are now investigating and have not released many details. However, they did note that the foot did not look very decomposed, indicating that the body may have not been in there very long. Investigators are also looking into security footage in the area to try to determine where the barrel may have come from and who may have disposed of it. Like I said, they have yet to identify the remains, and the investigation is ongoing. But this is just so eerie, and I hope they can figure it out quickly.
What is it, man? They just put bodies on the beaches. I don't get it. What the hell is that? What the hell was she on? She was not acting normal, Seekers, man. The way she just popped up, that was like 10 times more weirder.
What we know about the 4 Idaho students who were murdered in their house. On November 13th at 12 p.m., 4 University of Idaho students were found stabbed to death in their beds in a home that they shared. The victims were 20-year-old Ethan, 21-year-old Kaylee, 21-year-old Madison, and 20-year-old Zaina. Just a few hours before Madison and Kaylee were murdered at 1:40 a.m., they were seen on surveillance grabbing some food from a food truck in downtown Moscow. They then took an Uber home, and at around 3 to 4 a.m., their lives were taken. Ethan and Zaina, who were a couple, also arrived to the home around the same time as Kaylee and Madison. There were also 2 other students in the home while the murder took place, but they were not harmed, and they said they did not hear anything. These students in the home were also not the ones who called 911, but police will not release that information. Police do believe that this was a targeted and isolated attack, but they do not have any suspects at the moment. In my opinion, I think there's a lot more to the story, and I hate to say it, but these attacks seem really random, and this may be a serial killer.
That's a tragic case. The hell was they doing on the gurney? Come on, man, with that ass. Think that one was the edit. You can spot those out, man. Y'all spot out the edits, man. Comment down below, bro. Like flickering on and off, what the hell? Is that an edit too? Like someone's trying to grab it? She just walked away at the end?
This is 28-year-old Nadine Burras, and she was from the UK. In 2012, Nadine decided that she wanted to join a dating website, and she made a profile on MuslimMatch.com. On this website, she met Sami Al-Mahari, and he was posing as a millionaire from the United States. The relationship grew quickly and became very intense. Since Nadine was in the UK and Sami was in the United States, they started a long-distance relationship, and they would be seen talking on the phone for hours until the early morning. In 2013, they ended up meeting for the first time, and later on, Nadine realized that he was lying about his occupation and he wasn't actually a millionaire, he was a taxi driver. Yes, Nadine was upset with Sami, and it wasn't the fact that he wasn't a millionaire, it was the fact that he lied to her all this time. Unfortunately, the relationship quickly became abusive, and Sami would leave Nadine covered in bruises. On December 30th of 2014, Sami had visited Nadine in Cardiff, UK. He went to Nadine's home but got into an altercation with her brother, so he was asked to leave. Sami was staying at a hotel pretty close by to Nadine's home, so that's when he gave her a call and told her that he had actually left his passport at her home and if she could bring it to him. They ended up going to a nearby restaurant, and around 11 p.m. is when they made it back to the hotel. An hour later, Sami was seen at a casino with some fresh scratches to his face. Sami then took Nadine's car to the airport and he took a flight to Qatar. The next day, around 12:20 p.m. was New Year's Eve, and Nadine's body was found in that hotel room. Police had discovered that Nadine's laptop and phone were missing, so that could only mean that Sami had these. Soon enough, Nadine's family were getting text messages from her phone, and this was Sami. He was just taunting them and basically telling them that they were going to be next. On January 19th, 2015, Sami was located in Tanzania. He was arrested and brought back to the UK. Sammy claimed he was suffering from abnormality of mental function and that the voice of God told him to kill Nadine. In 2016, Sammy was given a life in prison with a minimum term of 17 years before being eligible for parole.
If I didn't know this was a true crime case, I would think it was a disturbing horror film. On the morning of the 7th of October 2022, a barefoot woman was running around Excelsior Springs, Missouri, bashing on people's doors. Witnesses describe her looking like she came straight from a horror film and she was calling for help. She'd been beaten, held captive and SA'd for weeks. The woman was a shocking sight. She was covered in injuries and was wearing a bin bag. Disturbingly, she was gasping for breath as she had a very tight metal collar locked round her neck. It was a nurse who opened the door to her and let her come in. The nurse started to call police, and at this point the woman panicked. She warned her that the captor would kill her and claimed that he had killed her 2 friends. When police got there, the woman explained that a man called Timothy had captured her the month prior. He'd been holding her hostage this whole time. She said he'd been keeping her locked in the basement and had been SAing her. Disturbingly, she told police that he actually had a young son who lived at the house with him. When Timothy had taken his young son to school the one day, she used it as her opportunity to escape. Police made their way to the home of 39-year-old Timothy Hazlitt Jr. and found the property did in fact have a basement like the woman described. Timothy was arrested and is facing 9 charges including first-degree kidnapping. He's being held on a $3 million bond and faces 5 life sentences. Before his arrest, police were actually called to his address 3 times. Twice they were asked to do welfare checks, and this was from an employer and also family members. Police have searched his home with cadaver dogs and they haven't yet released what they know.
How didn't they find her those times when the police was there? The hell?
Hello.
Skinwalker is getting weird, bro. It's like a dog, right?
Those trail cameras. Vultures everywhere. Dog.
Okay. I don't want to leave. What the fuck? Where the hell are you going? They didn't want to leave. What the fuck? Survivable things, okay. What? How the hell did he do that? Yeah, there's no 2 months. That's insane, bro. The hell was in those cases?
In Seattle, Washington, on the 19th of June 2020, a group of friends are using an app called Randonauting. This app gives totally random coordinates for the user to go and follow and then report back what they find. The friends were given coordinates which led them to Alki Beach Pier, where upon arrival they discovered a black suitcase. They go to investigate the suitcase, joking on that it could be filled with money, but as they got closer to it, a disgusting smelling odour just radiated from it. When they opened the suitcase, it amplified and they described the smell as overwhelming. Upon opening the suitcase, they found that it was not filled with money. However, it did have several things inside that were wrapped up in bin bags. One of the teenagers, being very responsible, decided to call the police and report the findings. When officers arrived, they almost immediately cordoned off the area and asked everyone to leave. This is now a crime scene. Inside the suitcase, they found the dismembered remains of a human body. Searches were carried out all around the area where the suitcase was found, and these searches turned up several more bags, all of which had more dismembered human remains inside. It was established that the bodies of a male and female had been found. 11 days later, their bodies were identified. They had found 27-year-old Austin Wenner and 35-year-old Jessica Lewis. It was determined that both Austin and Jessica had been victims of a beating before being fatally shot. Austin had been shot 7 times and Jessica had been shot once. It was estimated that they had died 10 days prior to being found. Jessica was a mother of 4 who worked caring for disabled adults, and this just reflected the type of person she was. She was described as kind, caring, and just a ray of sunshine. She and Austin had been in a happy relationship for around 8 years, and although her 4 children were not fathered by him, he still loved them and he brought them up as if they were his own. Austin was someone who had a big heart and a love for the outdoors. He loved all things camping, dogs, trucks, country music. They lived together in a room that they rented off of 63-year-old Michael Dudley, and it was in this house that they were last seen alive. Now that investigators knew their victims, they were able to properly start finding out what had happened to them. Phone records show that one of them from the couple had had a phone call with Michael only 7 minutes before their phones shut off and weren't used again. On the night of the murder, a neighbour of Michael's had rang the police saying that she had heard a man pleading, quote, "Please don't do this, just let me leave," before she heard several gunshots. When officers arrived to the house, it was in darkness and there was no movement inside, so they thought no one's home, so they simply turned around and left. On this same night, a new tenant of Michael's arrived at the house. This was 1 hour after police had been there and Michael was home and let her in. She noticed that in one of the rooms it seemed like someone was lay on the floor and not moving, that there was clothes thrown over them in order to try and disguise that they were there. She noticed that this person had a bloody arm and she questioned Michael about it, to which he responded, quote, "My gun worked and his didn't. Now please move along, I have a mess to clean up." She also noted that his glasses were broken and it looked like he had fresh scratch marks on it. On the 19th of August, Michael is arrested and his house is searched. During the search, there was a thick smell of bleach around the house and one of the rooms seemed to have been recently redecorated, having fresh paint on the wall. There were bullet holes in the walls and they also found blood in the room that the new tenant had said she saw someone on the floor. Michael's arrest shocked the community as he portrayed himself to be a very soft, sweet and helpful man, but that was very far from the truth. Michael had a criminal record dating back over 20 years. His record consisted of things such as trafficking, grand theft auto and possession of drugs. His own daughter even applied for a restraining order against him after he sexually assaulted her over a period of 9 years. In December 2022, Michael was found guilty of 2 counts of second-degree murder by a jury. The jury took only 1.5 days to deliberate. It's believed that Michael had murdered Austin and Jessica because they couldn't afford their rent for the next month, and they were paying $1,500 in rent just for 1 room. He was clearly very much taking advantage of them. Only last week, on the 8th of April, Michael was handed a 46-year sentence.
People literally stretched their own skulls. Back in the 1500s, the Incas practiced something called cranial deformation. They would wrap string tightly around the newborn's head so that their heads would stretch as they grew. This would cause them to have cone-shaped heads like the one seen here. And during these times, it wasn't considered a bad thing. This was considered a symbol of beauty according to their tribe.
Whoa, okay. What do you guys think about that?
Selfie before being struck by a train. In October of 2011, 15-year-old Essa Ricker, Kelsey Webster, and 13-year-old Savannah Webster waved at a westbound train crew as they were taking a selfie. As the 3 took the photo standing on the tracks, they had no idea that there was a train coming right at them. After they took their photo, they decided to post it on Facebook, and they captioned it saying, "Standing right by a train, ahaha, this is awesome." They were so preoccupied with the train track selfie that they had no idea that the train was literally right behind them. The conductor on the train, John Anderson, stated that the girls looked like they were completely in their own world. The engineer on the train blasted a horn to get the girls' attention, but they were oblivious and did not even flinch. Trains travel at 55 miles per hour, and they require more than a mile to come to a halt, and this is even after emergency brakes are applied. Once the train had gotten closer to the girls, it was approximately at 39 miles per hour.
Damn.
The train conductor and engineer tried to shout at the girls, but nothing worked. They observed the girls for about 12 seconds before they vanished from their view. About a quarter mile down, the train came to a halt, and John ran back to the girls. The first girl he saw showed no signs of life, and the second girl he saw had succumbed to the accident. John had located 13-year-old Savannah near the railroad crossing. She was injured and distressed, but she was still breathing. She was sent to a hospital in Salt Lake City, and doctors discovered that she had over a dozen broken bones, internally bleeding, blood clots, and a severe brain injury. Despite efforts to save her, she tragically passed away 3 days later after the incident.
Skinwalker caught on
Tragic.
camera.
Huh?
Run! Go, 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 go.
What the hell is that?
What the hell?
He hit the jets.
I did. Oh my gosh. He's going to the basement.
You gotta lock it. You gotta lock it now. Oh shit! There we go.
What do you guys think? Was that legit? Or was that an edit? We've been hearing some case about the skinwalkers, man. How many y'all comment down below what you guys think? They exist? That's an edit.
Yep, this doomsday clock is about to strike in 90 seconds, and when it hits midnight, that means civilization has reached its end, and it's our fault. Citizens were terrified to hear that our doomsday clock, created by a group of scientists led by Albert Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer, has just reached its end. In January 2023, during a haunting presentation, scientists unveiled the shocking state of the clock, and it was very bad. The 12-hour clock is not a normal clock, but was created to represent threat levels and how long until humanity destroys the world, midnight being the end. The clock has mostly remained hours away from midnight through history, even through many wars. But in 2020, with the onset of the pandemic, people were shocked when it was moved to 100 seconds. But now, only 3 years later, in 2023, we are at 90 seconds, making it the closest it's ever been in recorded history. With the rise of deadly wars and mutant diseases, the climate crisis, and the rise of nuclear weapons all in 1 year, scientists are terrified, saying to brace for impact in 2024, as it may be the end of humanity as we know it. Given the state of the world this year, do you think it will be less than 60 seconds?
I really do believe.
What do you guys think, man? I didn't even know we had a freaking doomsday clock. And it's by Robert Einstein. By Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer. And it's that close. We're like teetering toward the edge, man. I don't like that at all.
I believe some people can be evil up to the point where they were even probably kids, y'all. This is the case of 4-year-old Derek Robbie. This happened in the 90s, and he was actually just walking to summer camp. His mom let him go by himself. I believe it was like 1 block away, and she let him walk there by himself for the very first time that day. Now, unfortunately, he did not make it to summer camp, and his remains were found in the nearby woods in between his house and the summer camp he was going to. Now, when they found his remains, they said that it appeared that he had been beaten with rocks and strangled, and that he had Kool-Aid poured all over his body, and unfortunately, he had also been SA'd with a stick. Now, when all this happened, they had brought this 13-year-old in for questioning because he had been acting very strange and going around and asking people very bizarre questions such as how long, does it take for them to collect DNA evidence, and what if they find out that the unaliver was a kid?
Weird.
And also, when he was offered Kool-Aid during the interrogation process, he threw it all over the floor. He eventually ended up confessing to unaliving this poor 4-year-old baby because he had been being bullied by other kids at school, and he was very angry about this and wanted to let out his anger on someone else. Now, this is him now, and he actually has been released from prison since all this is happening just recently and let back into society. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it, but rest in peace to this poor baby.
She took the life of her husband after she found out that he was actually born a woman. In February of 2002, Elizabeth Radowski met Angelo Headington, and Elizabeth was working as a salesman, and she went to the farm where Angelo was working. The two instantly hit it off, and they started a romantic relationship. About 3 months later, they ended up getting married, but the relationship quickly turned into one with anger, rage, and violence. 3 months into their marriage, Angelo viciously attacked Elizabeth, and this is what caused her to fatally stab Angelo in self-defense. When paramedics were called to the scene, they were checking out Angelo's body, trying to stop the bleeding, and that's when they noticed that his private area was actually prosthetic, and he was born as a woman named Angela. Elizabeth stated that Angelo told her that his eggs had burned his genitals in a fit of rage, so when they were intimate, it was always dark with the lights off, and she never saw him take off his clothes in front of her. Elizabeth was arrested on second-degree murder charges after Angelo had died in the hospital. Elizabeth told authorities that Angelo had attacked her and she had no other choice but to defend herself. The charges against Elizabeth ended up being dropped, and the grand jury determined that she did act in self-defense.
You was that deep into the relationship and you didn't even know? People can hide it for that long, man? Damn. Imagine you being into a relationship, you didn't even know that the person was someone else. People, man, you can hide anything nowadays.
Coincidences in history. This is Mary Ashford, and this is Barbara Forrest. Each of these women were strangled to death, and their bodies were found just 300 yards away from each other.
Ooh.
They were both 20 years old at the time of their killings, and they shared the same birthday. On the night of their killings, both women had just got done visiting a friend, went home, changed into a new dress, and then had gone to a dance. And at this dance, they would both meet their eventual killers, who were both named Thorne. This is Abraham Thorne, the man who is presumed to have killed Mary Ashford. And this is Michael Thorne, the man who was presumed to have killed Barbara Forrest. Both these killings happened on May 27th. Mary Ashford died on May 27, 1817, and Barbara Forrest died on May 27, 1974, exactly 157 years after Mary Ashford. What's more?
Do you know how long those things are like lining up? Like how many times?
Conspiracy theories, part 2. This one's really creepy. Alright guys, so you guys know how everyone said the world was going to end in 2012? What if it actually did and we're just all living in hell? Because I feel like everything in our world has just gotten progressively worse since then. Just something to think about.
Is you on to something? It's been up and downs, but it seems like we've been going towards, I guess, a downtrend since 2012. It's a damn shame. Where's this guy? That's headed. Call it like you see it, man.
The darkest conspiracy theories. iPhone theory. An I in iPhone stands for I. It is also secretly listening to your conversations. What does Siri spell backwards? Siri backwards spells iris. And if you look at the Apple logo closely, it represents the first sin.
Disney just got completely exposed. Okay, so we all know how Disney is known for all their classic movies.
Well, what if I told you every single one of these movies is a copy and paste of another one? Disney literally recycles animation from other movies, and then change little things like characters and...
Whoa. That won't be the first time something like that happened. Damn, there's similarities. Maybe it drew inspiration, or do you think they just simply copied and pasted it to another movie? No, you saw the similarities.
Let me get a pair of twins. All right? They're born the same time, they're the same age. And now one of them I will send off at 90% the speed of light. And the other I'll keep down here on Earth. So we can ask, how does their aging rates compare? Okay? Turns out, this twin that I've already sent, his clock ticks 44% as fast as this twin's clock. Our clock here on Earth. So, this twin is aging more slowly than this one. That's at 90% the speed of light. Let's pump it up some more. How about 99% the speed of light? Now the time ticks at only 14% the rate, as it does back here on Earth. How about 99.9%? We're getting closer and closer to the speed of light itself. And at that speed, the clock ticks only 4.5% as fast. So, what does this mean? Tell you what it means. This twin that traveled for 5 years and comes back, if they went at 99.9% the speed of light, after 5 years, they're 5 years older. We have aged 110 years.
Damn.
It's called the twin paradox.
This isn't an animal video, but I feel like not enough people know this, and I honestly have nothing better to do. So I was going back and forth with one of my friends, and we were insulting each other the way only real friends can. And she would say, at least I got 2 functional knees, so I said, at least I got 2 functional parents. You know, cute stuff like that. And she was like, at least my nipples work. I could not tell you where that flex came from, but fun fact. Men actually can produce milk, and it happens more often than you think. Men's nipples are fully functional, it's just that they get suppressed by male hormones. And the hormone responsible for making milk is prolactin, and the production of prolactin is controlled by dopamine and estrogen. Basically, these hormones send a message to the pituitary gland and tell it to either stop or continue releasing prolactin. But sometimes a hormone malfunction can cause men to lactate. Weirdest example I can think of is back in World War II. When prisoners of war ate a full meal after being starved for months, their hormones shot up faster than their liver could keep up with, causing them to spontaneously lactate. Also, if your pituitary gland forgets that it's not supposed to release prolactin, you can end up dripping Nesquik too. In really rare cases, nipple stimulation while holding a baby was enough to cause lactation in some men. But also there's a chance it means you have a tumor. So yeah, men can produce milk, and I can't produce a healthy way to explain my...
I didn't even know that was possible. These things, when we watch these clips, tap in with us. You gonna learn some new things. It's gonna blow your mind away. I always thought that was a myth.
Here's some of the biggest movie mistakes you never noticed. In the movie American Sniper, in this scene, they replaced the baby with a literal doll. And if you look closely, you'll see Bradley Cooper moving the doll's hand with his thumb to make it appear more real. But that doll isn't fooling anyone. Next, in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, in this scene where Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy battle, if you look closely, you can see a cameraman watching the fight who's obviously not supposed to be there. Next, in the movie Jurassic Park, in this scene where 2 raptors enter the kitchen, when it cuts to the next shot, you can actually see a human hand pushing the dinosaur. Apparently, a crew member was trying to keep the balance of the model dinosaur, but no one noticed, and it slipped through editing and made the final movie. So in Thor: The Dark World, Thor very casually and politely hangs his hammer up on the coat rack. which wasn't in the script and sparked a huge debate online about whether the coat rack is worthy. Now in Harry Potter, Severus Snape tells Harry that he has the eyes of his mother, but the problem with that is his mother has brown eyes and he has blue eyes. And in Jason Bourne, in this scene, he's supposed to disappear into the surrounding city, and at first glance it looks like he does. But if you look closely as this little car passes him, you can see his bright red jacket and his feet try to hide behind it.
Here are some of the most random fun facts you will ever hear in your life. Armadillo shells are actually bulletproof. One time a man was hospitalized when he shot at an armadillo and the bullet ricocheted off the shell and hit him instead. There's only one letter in the entire alphabet that isn't in any US state name, and that letter is Q. There's not a single state with the letter Q in its name. 71% of the earth is covered in water, and humans can only use 0.007% of that water. 2.5% of the total water is fresh water, and only 1% of that is actually accessible. The bumblebee bat is the smallest mammal in the entire world. These things can rest on your fingertips and you might not even know because they weigh 0.05 to 0.07 ounces. Ostriches are the world's largest and heaviest living bird. It's why they can't fly, but they are built for running, and they can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, and they can pretty easily coast at 30 miles per hour. The longest English word is 189,819,000 letters long. It's a protein and its nickname is titin, and it would take around 3.5 hours to say the word out loud.
Okay, what the hell is that word? See, because if anybody can find it, put it down below, man. I gotta see that.
5 crazy shark facts you'll never believe. Number 1, they have teeth all over their body. They're actually called dermal denticles, and some sharks even have teeth over their eyes, such as the whale shark. It's what gives them that sandpaper type of texture. Number 2, some sharks can live a seriously long time. The Greenland shark, for instance, can live for over 500 years. Their flesh is also toxic, and they're the slowest shark on record and almost the same size as the great white. Number 3, they can go on some seriously crazy diets. Basically, the great white shark cannot eat for up to 12 months. They can actually survive off of fatty oil stored inside their body. 4, they can literally sense electricity. That is one of the shark's amazing superpowers, and they can detect electromagnetic fields in the water using a specialized organ called the ampullae of Lorenzini, which are gel-filled pores all around their nose. 5, some sharks have 360-degree vision, or at least the hammerhead shark does. It's pretty crazy, but these guys have eyes that are so far apart, yet they can still create one whole image, which gives them a 360 viewpoint.
They got the Byakugan, bro.
Follow them.
P-Facts I bet you didn't know, part 1. Your lips and anus are connected by the same tube. 90% of serial killers choose their victims by sexual desire. Your organs move freely around your body. Crows used to follow armies to feed on dead bodies. Human sacrifice was a real thing in Aztec Mexico.
What the hell? What do you know?
Easily one of the most shocking creatures in the world. Literally. Meet the electric ray. It's like a regular stingray except with the powers of Thor. They're electrical hunters with no predators and a shock strong enough to knock out a human. But the crazy part is the way they hunt. What they do is they go and swim above their prey and wrap their fins around, creating this tunnel. And then they just start electrocuting with 200 volts from every single direction. And it's not just one shot. They will electrocute their prey up to 500 times in the matter of seconds.
Damn.
And according to scientists, they can unload a kilowatt of energy in one attack. Thor, come get your friends. But the cherry on top is the fact that they can also use their electricity for electroreception, which means you can't hide from them. They can sense the whereabouts of any creature by detecting their electrical pulses. In other words, they're superheroes. Moral of the story, if you're ever in the ocean, I recommend staying away from swimming tasers. And as always, follow for more facts.
I'm staying away from them, bro. Talk about what a pet it. You're just gonna get shocked. Looks like they're worse than stingrays, bro. 10 times worse. Edit.
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you, part 10. Okay, so Hello Kitty was created back in the 1970s by a Chinese woman whose daughter had cancer. The doctors told the mother there was nothing she could do, and her daughter will die. The mother then went to every church and prayed for her daughter, but none of it worked. The mother then became very desperate and turned to devil worshipping and satanic rituals. She then made a pact with the devil himself. But if the devil cured her daughter's cancer, he wanted one thing in return. He wanted her to create a cartoon character to appeal to children all over the world and to trick people into worshipping the devil. And when her daughter recovered from cancer, she kept her promise and created Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty has no mouth because her daughter had mouth cancer. Her pointy ears represent the devil's horns. The word kitty means demon in Chinese, so Hello Kitty actually means hello demon.
What do you guys think about that one, man? I'm telling you, I said this, the media and stuff, be consuming all these, you know, high profile brands. They would be based on some dark stories. Hello,
There's an
demon.
active serial killing group in Austin, Texas. I've been seeing videos all over my For You page talking about the Smile murders, and I'm going to be honest, this is absolutely terrifying. From what I understand, the Smile murders are either a group of people or a singular person leaving this tagline after unaliving someone. This just looks like a normal takeout bag near the lake sitting on a tree. Well, what was found underneath it is absolutely terrifying. It is, yes, an unalived person near the lakeside. Now, the two craziest parts to me is the target is younger men. The second part is that there's been 12 bodies found since 2022 at Lady Bird Lake. And alone this year, there's been already 3. You're probably thinking to yourself, Chris, well, can you go swimming at Lady Bird Lake? Are they drowning? Because that's been the cause of death of most of these people. No, you can't. There's poisonous algae in there. Meaning that if you go swimming in there, you're probably cooked. Now, if you don't believe me, this is the timeline in the area that people are found. On top of that, it seems like people are mostly coming from Rainer Street, which from what I've heard and what I understand is the hot spot in Austin, where they have all the bars and it's just like a massive strip. This has been a conspiracy for a long time that there's a group of people unaliving others, but not only in Austin. There's been things in Manchester, there's been things in Boston, but a lot of people are thinking that it's just an organized group, unaliving people and leaving this smiley tagline. Well, and all this is just absolutely terrifying. If you're in the area, stay safe.
This case is exactly why you
national
should not
news.
do rugs, y'all. This is the case of Carly Lucet, and I want to say this happened back in 2013. So she actually disappeared on October 13th, and she was a big fan of scary movies and things of that nature, and when she ended up disappearing, she snuck out to go to her boyfriend's house, and during that time, they had taken some type of unknown rug. Now, when she had got back home, she had called her stepmom to come pick her up. She was obviously very paranoid, and her mother recorded her, and there is audio recording that I will attach to the end of this video. Now, during this recording, the stepmom thought that it would be a good idea to do this. I don't know why, instead of take her to the hospital so that the next day she could show her this video and hopefully she won't do these rugs again. Unfortunately, that is not what happened, and according to what I looked into, she ended up, while her parents were asleep, leaving the house and just walking and wandering around the forest and the woods, and she had been spotted that evening, and according to what I looked into, a couple years later, she was spotted again by some bikers, but that wasn't 100% certain if it was her. Now, since then, she has not been spotted, but the crazy thing is her dad was arrested for DV charges, and was charged with those. So according to what I looked into, that is the latest update I have seen on this case, and she has not been seen since then. I just think it's very bizarre that the first thing you're going to do is when you see your child acting paranoid, you're going to record them. I'm going to attach the footage to the end of this.
Do you want to take a shower? Think it'll make you feel better? You're eating the devil's lettuce. You're eating lettuce that I just freshly chopped that I bought from the grocery store. I don't know why. Why you eating the devil's lettuce? Because I'm just thinking all these demonic stuff and I can't help it. You're okay. Do you want to call them? Why are you looking like that? No, you just said you wouldn't. Would you call them?
There's a horrific murder case that's happening right now out of Arizona that's still unsolved. Let's talk about what happened to Mercedes Vega. On April 16th of this year, Mercedes was abducted from the parking garage of her Tempe, Arizona apartment and brutally killed. That night, security footage shows her walking into her apartment's parking garage a little after 9 p.m. She was on her way to meet her friends and have a fun night at Dave & Buster's, but in this footage, she had no idea what was about to happen to her. Sometime before making it to her car, she was attacked and taken by at least 2 people, and the details that follow are still a mystery. A little after 1 a.m. the next morning, the Department of Public Safety was called in to investigate a car that was on fire along the side of Interstate 10 in Tonopah. Upon arriving to the scene, they found Mercedes' burned body in the back seat, and she was deceased. In the last few hours of her life, she was tortured, and according to the medical examiner, she had been shot in the arm, had blunt force trauma to her head, and had traces of bleach in her throat. But all of this did not kill her. She ultimately died from smoke inhalation while being burned alive in that car. Investigators also found gloves and bleach in the front seat and lighter fluid in the back, but there are still a ton of questions that remain in this case, and nothing about this makes any sense. The car that Mercedes was found in was not her car. Her car, which was a 2019 Dodge Charger, was found abandoned near Mill Avenue in Tempe. She was not burned in her own vehicle, and so far, investigators still don't know who the car she was found in belongs to. One of the big questions in this case is how did her car get from her apartment to where it was found? And who drove the other car to Tonopah? Mercedes' parents believe that this was a targeted attack and that death wasn't the ultimate goal, but that Mercedes fought back, which resulted in her death. Her parents mentioned that she danced at a club 2 nights a week, and many question if her death could possibly be connected back to someone she met while at work. It's now been 7 months, and Mercedes' murder is still unsolved. Whoever committed this vicious attack is still out there. Right now, there is a silent witness award of up to $2,000 for information leading to an arrest. But if you'd like to donate to up that reward or to report a tip, please contact the number on the screen. For more information on this case and to show your support, please follow this account that was created for Mercedes that's run by her family. She and her family deserve justice.
They deserve justice, man. Plain and simple. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. Greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, I do daily uploads every single day, so always make sure to check the channel at least once time every single day, man. Hit that post notification bell also so you always get notified when I upload a video. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.